My guest is recording artist Jayne Denham. The dominant female force in the country rock music scene has released her new album, Moonshine. Now, her new album hits you like blinding white lightning as Jayne has partnered with Franklin County Distillery, located in the mountains of Virginia, known as the Moonshine Capital of the world, to release her own line of two different flavored moonshines, Ridge Runner Pear and Orchard Peach, to accompany the album. Now, the 10-track album features Grammy Award-winning and Grammy-nominated producers Brian White and Brian Bunn, along with hits written by Miranda Lambert and Shane McAnally, Brandy Clark and Jon Randall, and so many others. Now, leading up to the album, Jayne has had various #1 hits, including her album title track Moonshine featuring Colt Ford. Now, this boot-stomping cross-country collaboration infused Jayne's country rock roots, captivating audiences worldwide with placements on CMT USA and CMT Official Top 30 in Australia. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome one of Australia's leading country artists who is now about to rock America, 5-time Golden Guitar nominee, Jayne Denham, to the show. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me on the show, Ward. It's great to be here.
Well, it's great to have you. And how old were you when you fell in love with music?
Oh, well, my family are entertainers, and my mum's a singer. My grandfather was in musical theatre, so I guess I got dragged along to rehearsals, recording studios from the day I was born. We all grew up singing in church as well, so that's my background. And I think by the time I was 5, I was on stage, and then yeah, it was pretty obvious that's what I wanted to do. I think there's only 2 cousins in the family that can't sing or play an instrument. So if we get together, we give them a cowbell.
Well, when did you start rocking the guitar?
Well, funny enough, I actually don't play the guitar. I grew up playing in orchestras. So I can read music, and I played the flute and the saxophone. And then now I'm actually playing a little bit of the mandolin. But it was kind of, woodwind instruments aren't real helpful when you're a singer, unfortunately.
Well, go ahead, Jayne.
Yeah, so when I started in country, it was sort of funny because I grew up on country, and then I joined a rock band at high school. And then when I started in country, my career took off really fast. And so by the time I realized, it would be helpful to play the guitar, it was sort of too late. So I just get all my boys to do it. Let's face it, I'd rather them do it than me look bad.
I got you. Well, who were your musical influences growing up?
Oh, well, I grew up singing a lot of country music because my dad's a massive country music fan. So anyone from John Denver to Dolly to George Strait, Alan Jackson were some of the people. American country music's very big here in Australia. So I grew up, and then you had a lot of Australian artists as well who I grew up getting influenced by. But I guess it was when I heard I'd done, like I said, country, then I did rock, then I started writing, and it wasn't till I heard Gretchen Wilson, her first single and album, and I went, wait a minute, when I write, that's what I sound a little bit like. So that's where I kind of came up with my style, I guess, being inspired by her.
See, I love female artists who are on the line of country rock. And you said it, Gretchen Wilson. Even Miranda Lambert brings a little bit of that, but we need more artists that play that type of music, because sometimes I wonder if some country is a little bit manufactured and maybe a little bit boring.
Yeah, right. Well, it's funny now that you've asked me that question. The other thing that a lot of Americans would appreciate was I grew up going to pubs and bars, I think you call them over there. I'm not sure if you call them pubs in America, but bars, seeing Aussie pub rock was a big thing. That's AC/DC and all those, great artists from Australia that you Americans love. And so I think that's where my love of rock came from, because they would come to our town and we would go and see these bands just in our local pub, and we would get to, and that inspired me. So I think when I started writing, it was those two influences, the Aussie pub rock. So it was kind of destined I was going to be a bit rock, I think.
Well, have you ever done an Aussie song in your set?
Yes, in fact, I do. Back in Black. I know.
Wow. I would have never guessed that.
Well, I wrote a song called Addicted to the Diesel, and it's a trucking song for all those driving semi trucks. And I came to my songwriting session. I said, I want to write a song that keeps truck drivers awake. And I said, I want to write it with country music meets Aussie pub rock. That was my brief for the song. And it's actually one of my biggest songs I've ever had in my career. And so at the end of when I perform that song live, I start by saying it was inspired by Aussie pub rock and country music. And then at the end, we do an Aussie pub rock medley, and I end on a bit of AC/DC.
Wow. Yeah, I've always loved AC/DC. I mean, I'm a Thunderstruck fan. Highway to Hell. I mean, the list goes on.
Yeah.
But for you, how did you make it from Australia to America?
Well, that's a very good question. So I wrote on my very first album, I wrote a song about a girl that drove a truck. And over here, we actually you call them trucks, we call them utes. So as in there's semi-trailer trucks, and then there's trucks, as in, yeah, I don't know if that makes sense. But
No,
anyway.
it does, because
So,
I know what a ute is.
okay, great. Because sometimes I say it and they go, yeah, all Americans sing songs about trucks. And I'm like, no, the big ones, like road trains. In Australia, we have road trains, like ice road truckers. That's what I write. So I wrote a song about a girl that drove a truck, and I had no idea it was going to blow up. And so every truck show in Australia was inviting me to perform. I was invited to perform at any event that seemed to have trucks, because there's this chick and she's writing songs about us truck drivers in Australia, and the next minute you guys in America got wind of it, and then I started continuing to add trucking songs on each album. And so I got invited to go to America and perform at all the biggest truck shows over there. So it was a huge, never in my wildest dreams did I ever think that was going to happen. And that's probably about 9 years ago now, since I started going over there. And yeah, it was a huge honor to represent Australia, but also cheer on all the truck drivers.
Well, yeah, and I listened to the song Addicted to Diesel, and that is an awesome, hot song.
Thank you. Yeah, it's amazing. It's just one of those songs that I wrote, and still to this day, it's a fan favorite. So it goes off live. Every time I perform it live, the crowd just goes mad, even if they've never heard it. So I think that's a good thing. Yeah.
Well, I think you have some good you have some incredible songs on the brand new album that I know that they're going to go wild for, just like Addicted to Diesel. But for you, because you're from Australia, is there an actual difference between the two music scenes between Australia and America?
I think it's becoming less different. It always was, I would say, quite different. A lot of Australians would go to America and take on the American style, I guess, where, even Keith Urban is Australian. But I think the Australian market certainly has changed. I think there's still a certain, like I was saying about trucks and utes, and there's certain lingo that in Australian music, Americans go, what the heck is that? So I've had to sort of adjust now, and especially because music's so global, I had to adjust how I write sometimes, unless I really specifically want to write Australian music. But yeah, it's definitely grown, and we are 100% being inspired by the American country music market. And for me, the past two records, Wanted, was inspired by I put an old spaghetti western movie soundtrack meets Jayne Denham country rock, and then this album is Prohibition Moonshine era meets Australian country rock Jayne Denham. But when you look at music, it all has stemmed from the US to influence us. So I think because we're only a very young country, that's been fun to sort of go back into the roots of music from a long time ago in America and put a twist on it here in Australia.
Well, tell me about your brand new album, Moonshine.
So it is definitely about not the thing in the sky, it's the thing that you drink. Some people go, oh, that's lovely. No. And I had this song actually sent to me from Nashville for the Wanted album, and somebody put it on hold and I couldn't get it, and I loved it so much, and I kept saying to my publisher, I want Moonshine, I know that's my song, it's meant to be my song. And so anyway, I got it a year and a half later, so it ended up being a blessing in disguise. So thank you to whoever put it on hold and took it off hold because I was then able to create this whole new chapter, I guess you could say, because after the Wanted album, which I was blown away, got me a Golden Guitar nomination for Album of the Year here in Australia, which is like your CMA over there, because it was unique in that Brian White and Brian Bunn, my producers, we were all in lockdown and we created a piece of art. I think I was more like, I don't want to tick the boxes anymore. I want to make a record that is like a piece of art, that's like a musical journey. And so we put sound effects and all sorts of things throughout the music. So from track 1 to track 10, it's like olden days when we used to actually sit down and listen to the musical journey that was a record. And so I went back to that and we created that, which was fun because spaghetti western movies, the orchestral thing is quite epic. So it totally made sense to then put it with country rock. And then we were like, oh, how do we go from Wanted? And I could have done Wanted too, but I was like, nah, let's try and make it something like the next chapter. Like, let's not just go to modern day. Let's go a little bit further forward in history, and try and get inspired by the instrumentation of the time of the Prohibition era. And so creatively, for the boys and myself, it's so much fun because you have to learn about a little bit more about the era and like I said, the instruments and the time in history that it was. And so we kind of said, it's like, if anyone's seen the Yellowstone series, it's like Wanted was 1883, and then this is slightly more modern but still in the roots of musical history. And so we're calling this one, I guess if you want to compare it, like a Yellowstone, slightly more modern than 1883. So that gives you, but it's been fun, like to create an album that's more like a painting, a piece of art. And every song is specifically picked, every song is written if we needed to create those songs to put the whole jigsaw together to make it the album that is Moonshine.
You know, I miss the days of full album releases.
Mm.
And I remember the day when an album would come out and we would rush to the record store and either buy it on vinyl, maybe it was a cassette, then, of course it was the CD, but at least with a vinyl, you would go home, put it on the record player, start with song number 1 and listen to both sides of the album while you were reading all of the linear notes inside the jacket, because that was really half the fun. And
Totally.
and now everybody, it's just like single after single after single, and you don't hear someone coming out with a full album, which I completely understand because the whole music landscape has changed big time in the last 5 to 10 years. And I understand why that's done. And now we have more independent artists than ever before. But your Moonshine album, my gosh. Now, the hard-hitting title track, Moonshine. Now, you have Colt Ford on that song with you. First of all, how is he doing?
He's doing well. He's a very, very blessed man. I'm telling you. He had apparently I was reading something the other day where he talked about it, and it was he actually died twice or something during that time, and he had a like 0.1% chance of survival. So obviously God wants him on the planet because he has something else to do. And I mean, you can't keep a good man down. I tell you what, that guy's one incredible talented guy. So I'm so glad that he's still with us, and yeah, he's doing really well. So it's a miracle, to be really honest, that he's
What?
still here.
How did the collaboration happen for you?
Oh, well, honestly, never in my wildest dreams did I ever think it was going to happen, because he's big here, like in Australia. He's very popular, and my management, who I've signed to Dead Horse Branding in Nashville, they said, all right, give us your top 5 artists you'd like to collaborate with. And they said, think, like, go crazy. Like, put whoever you want. Like, just give us your top 5. And Colt Ford was one of those people. And I sort of, you're sort of thinking, yeah, like that's ever going to happen. And anyway, he heard the song Moonshine, loved it, and sort of sussed out who I was. And then, yeah, management rang me and said Colt Ford really loves what you do and wants to work on the record. And I think because his fans are very much like my fans, and I think he is a little left of field anyway, like I am in my industry. I'm not like everybody else. I'm sort of over here. So, and he's a bit the same. And I think that's why I like him and I like his music. And yeah, so that happened. And then the next minute, I'm jumping on a plane, going to Nashville to record the video with him as well. Because often you record with great artists that are bigger than me, if you know what I mean, but you don't always get to work with them on the video clip. But he kindly said, I'd love to be involved. And it was a huge honor to work with such a legend. And since then, we've become friends, and yeah, looking to possibly do some work together. So he has to get better so we can go on tour together. And we're trying to get him over here to Australia as well. So I'm hopefully going over there to work with him. It'll probably be next year, I would say now, but he needs to recover first. But yeah, it's been great to work with
Well,
Colt
the
Ford, and
song, the
he
song
really
is,
is a
yeah, the song is fantastic. I mean, he comes in with a little bit of that, the rap vibe, which works so well in
yeah.
this song. And it's a hard hitting, standalone song. And I mean, if you and Colt were on stage doing the song, I would feel sorry for the person that would have to follow you.
Oh, that's very kind. It is a big song. It's great, and it goes off live, which is great. So
Well,
we
you have
have
other,
Colt screen here in Australia. We put him on a massive screen behind me, and so they can't miss him. He's
ah,
huge.
well, that sounds cool. But you have some other songs that the cool thing about your album Moonshine is this is the type of album that you can literally listen to every single song and enjoy it. You have a song on this album that I just love, and it's Are You Ready for This? That is a cool song.
It really is. The first time I heard it, my husband and I were driving along, and I said, oh, I've got some new songs that they're pitching to me for the record. Soon as I heard it, I just went, I have to cut this song. It is so me. And then to find out who wrote it, then they didn't tell me on purpose, because they wanted me to not cut it because Miranda Lambert, who's one of my heroes, co-wrote it, but I actually needed to like it because of the song, if you know what I mean. So, but it's definitely, like you said, she has got that bit of country rock in her. And I think when I heard the demo of that song, you could hear her influence on it. But it's me too, so I love it, and it
Well,
was
yeah,
great to work with.
because you can hear the attitude, and you have to have
Yeah.
the attitude for this song. And so I love Are You Ready for This? But there's something that I've noticed for the last few years that's truly missing in country music. And you bring it back with this album with a song, Chain Smoking, because I love songs that have a hook. And Chain Smoking has that hook. I mean, when you sing that line, blowing, she's blowing through men. I was like, oh wow, that just matches the freaking title.
Yeah, exactly. Now you know how much fun it is to find the right songs to go with the theme of the record. And this song is just, yeah. And it was actually, I had to really dig deep to record it because you really wanted to do the lyric justice. So you felt like you were that character in the song. So thank you. I'm glad. And Brandy Clark co-wrote that with Matt Jenkins and Trevor Rosen. And yeah, again, a great, huge songwriting team there, and very blessed to have it pitched to me. But I think it's fun because they go, Jayne Denham's doing a record, it's going to be like this. So it makes it a really strong target. And the publishers can go through and go, oh, that might suit Jayne, and that title works. And that's, like you say, the story behind it. But I mean, it's an incredible hook, and that's probably one of my favorite songs on the record.
Yeah, it's a killer song. Now let me back up. Is the song "Are You Ready for This"? Is that one of the tracks where you have another artist on there with you?
Yes, yes. So Hurricane Fall, some Australian boys here that I've toured with for years, and they're definitely country rock as well. So it was a no-brainer to ask the boys if we work together on this. And I think it's always a risk when you add people onto a song, because just because you're friends and you like their music doesn't always mean it's going to magically work together vocally. And so we were really, really, really happy with the result. And we've got to tour it since we released that as a single last year, and we've got to travel all over Australia singing it at festivals. So it's had a really good response. And I mean, it's just a great, upbeat, in your face country rock song. And yeah, it's really good to do live together.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing you sing that song with Miranda Lambert.
Oh, yeah, that would be cool. I'll give her a call.
Yeah, there you go. Well, one of my favorite songs on this new album of yours is "Lovin' a Wild Thing." It has it has the soul moving vibe to it that makes you just want to put it on repeat.
Yeah, well, we ended up, funny you should say that, because it wasn't, when I heard this song, title, tick, lyrics, tick, it fitted the record, but it was written and produced pop, and I'm not pop. So then I'm like, oh, is this going to work? But I could sort of hear it. And the boys are so clever. Brian White and Brian Bunn are so clever at knowing what the brand is and then making the music work. So it wasn't till I got in the studio, and I've done a lot of session singing in my career. So if someone says sing pop, I can sing pop. If they say sing like you're on a kid's album and you're a pirate, I can sing that. So I've been able to luckily have that experience to flick a button to sing different styles of music. But my true self is country rock. That's where I feel most at home. And so I was like, oh, how am I gonna do this song justice to, one, fit the record, but also be me? And so I sort of had to find that little bit of big sounding pop, but I put a little bit of rock edge throughout it, and then really dig deep into making, I guess, more on this record than ever. I really wanted to sing even more from the soul. That sounds weird because that's
Well,
what we
no,
do is
no,
sing.
because that's what I heard when I was listening to the song
Yeah,
"Loving a Wild Thing." I'm like, there is some soul here. And
yeah,
and when you mention Brian White, this is the type of song that literally falls into Brian's lap because
right.
he knows that sound. Because when back in the day when he was, the hit maker in country, he had that type of sound.
Mm,
So this
mm.
this was easy for him. At least I think it
Yeah,
was.
yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's a really great song. And then it wasn't ever going to be a single, and it came out so well. It's ended up being the lead single, and for the whole record, and now it's gone to radio here in Australia, and it's already hitting all the charts. So yeah, I'm really glad we pushed through what the demo was in comparison to what we wanted to create it to be, because you just don't know. You can have a song and record it and you go, well, that didn't quite work the way I planned. And then other songs like Love and a Wild Thing, I was like, I have to make this work because it's such a hooky song, and it sticks in your brain.
It does. Now you have another single, Stunt Double. Where did the idea for that one come from?
Well, after the Wanted album and this album, thematically, it's quite, character, like, I want to kill you, I want to shoot you, I want to, like, it's all kind of, if it's Western, it's not lollipop songs, is it? And if it's moonshiners running away from the cops to, make their money on their illegal moonshine, it's not all butterflies and rainbow kind of songs. So, but each album, both the two albums where I've gone thematically, because this is my sixth album, and these two are the ones where I went into a whole different space musically, which has been the most fun ever. I had to still have a song that was fun and funny and upbeat, and I love a good laugh, and so I don't take myself too seriously, to be honest. So Stunt Double, it was like I had to kind of push for that one because they're like, oh, it's a bit too fun and happy. I'm like, exactly. And I said, and with Stunt Double, like, everyone has been in situations, whether it's love or whether it's, the moonshiners running, they sometimes wish they had a stunt double to take on the pain or take on the trauma or whatever the thing is that they're doing, or the predicament they're in. They want someone to step in. And so it was a really cleverly written song. And that's when I started actually learning mandolin, because there's a beautiful mandolin track on that song. So I thought, all right, well, I might not be able to play guitar, but I'll give mandolin a crack. And I've been playing it on stage, which has been great fun. Again, another instrument from the Moonshine era that really makes that song sparkle.
Very much so. Now, I've listened to your other albums, and you have kept your sound pretty consistent. I mean, hard-hitting country rock, something, as I said before, we need more here in America. So I want to thank you for that. Also, now I want to ask you something, because I think this is kind of a cool deal here. I hear you have teamed up with the Franklin County Distillery to release your own flavored moonshine. How did that collaboration happen?
I know, it's so crazy, because my management we were talking about what could we do to help market the record, and they thought, oh, maybe we could reach out to a moonshine distillery company and see if they want to partner with me for the release of the record. And in fact, Colt Ford has his own line of moonshine as well. So they reached out to Franklin County Distillery, and they were really excited about partnering with me for the record. And so, so I got to go over and taste it last year, and it's actually really nice, because I was hoping I'd like it. you know, Oh, that would be awkward. But it's really, really nice. And so, they're bringing it out to Australia. We've had a little bit of a hold up, unfortunately, because getting it into Australia has been a little more tricky than we had expected. But it is definitely coming. And hopefully we can send you a bottle soon.
Is the moonshine, is it like, true blue white lightning? Is this stuff 200 proof?
Well, I'm no expert. Apparently I'm meant to be. But it's 80 proof, they tell me. Yeah, so, and I have to say, moonshine is not a big thing here in Australia. So I think when it arrives, I'm going to be rich.
Hey, I know some people who started their own lines, and they're sitting real pretty. So one never knows. I mean, you could end up being a moonshine mogul and do the music on the side.
That's it. It's really weird, because I'd had it in America at truck shows. Some of my friends who drove trucks and were in the industry, they were like, hey, try my moonshine, And so I had tried it, but no one ever really talks about it here in Australia, but it's becoming a bit of a thing. And so I sort of was like, well, that's handy that I'm bringing out my own line of moonshine when Australia's decided they don't mind a little bit of moonshine. So it's kind of worked out funny that now it's and everyone I talk to in Australia, they're like, you've got your own moonshine, and then they think it's illegal, and they go, what is illegal, Jane? I'm like, oh yeah, yeah, no, it's legal
Well,
because all they know here in
well,
Australia is illegal.
80 proof's pretty good. I have a bottle back behind me of 120 proof Kentucky bourbon, and I haven't even cracked that one open yet.
Oh, well, let me know. I'll come and join you. We can swap moonshine.
Hey, that sounds like a plan. And see that's what I think is so cool about not only is your album fantastic, but to have it partnering up with another brand, it's just genius marketing.
Yeah, I have to say that's definitely what my team are all about, and I'm very grateful that they came up with the idea because, especially when I'm a chick, all the boys are like, "Oh my gosh, Jayne Denham's got her own moonshine. We don't even have our own beer."
Well, why did you pick pear and peach for the flavors?
So the team actually went up. They are all in Nashville, and they all drove up and taste tested a whole heap. And they were the two that they picked. So I had to hopefully, it was going to be okay. But it is. It's really, really nice. It's actually smooth, which I was surprised about. I sort of expected it to, punch me in the face, but it's definitely moonshine, but it's definitely got a beautiful flavour to it. I just have it with ice or something, and it's lovely. So I'm waiting for my next delivery to arrive because I think I've got this much left. All my friends that come over, I'm like, come and try my moonshine. So yeah, I'm expectedly waiting for this moonshine so we can enjoy it here in Australia very soon.
Well, I hope they get through some of the issues to get it into the country. And, it's funny because knowing that Franklin County is in the state of Virginia, Virginia has one of the toughest alcohol laws in the country.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Eh,
It's a very odd thing to put together, considering that was where the moonshiners, Prohibition era is known for. It's the big capital of moonshine. So,
Well, and what a lot of people don't know, I mean, I have a friend, well, my director, he lives in Richmond, Virginia. And so he was telling me, because when he comes to Texas, he's like, y'all got it so easy. Y'all can buy any alcohol off the shelf and it's great. But he goes, in Virginia, he goes, the laws are crazy because you've probably learned this. Once they bottle it in Virginia, they have to ship it to a particular place in Virginia to be approved, then have the seal placed on the bottle before it can be legally sold. That's not done here. It's only done in the state of Virginia, from what I understand.
wow. Well, that's funny you should say that because they actually said that to me. It took about 9 months to get all the approvals for my 2 bottles of moonshine. So you're spot on with that bit of information. So yeah, it's not
Well,
like that here in Australia either. So
yeah.
can't
Well,
get, I just can't get it over the pond at the moment. They're going to charge $80 a bottle tax. So that's why we've got to figure out a solution. But it's getting sorted, so that's good.
well, that's good. Well, now that you have this brand new hit record out, Moonshine, what else do you have planned for 2024?
Oh, I am so excited. We've actually just hit the road starting last weekend on the Moonshine Risk It All tour. So yeah, we're going to be hitting the road with the tour and got a brand new show with the Moonshine album and the Wanted album. I had a costume made. We've got all videos and stuff like that. So here in Australia, we're going to be touring, and I look forward to coming over. I think in about August, I'll be coming over to America to do some promotion and all that sort of jazz. So looking forward to coming back over there this year. But it's going to be a big year, and I'm just excited to have a new album out and hope everyone enjoys it.
I think they will. I know that I love your brand new album. Every song is fantastic. And ladies and gentlemen, remember, some of you remember what I remember. You know, you back in the day, you'd get the whole album, sit there and listen song by song. We now have an album by Jayne Denham that we can do that again. Listen to every song. You're going to fall in love with it. It's one of the best varieties on an album of hard country rock songs, but there's a few in there that, you know, like I've said before, that it's just got a soulful vibe to it that just, not only does it fit her voice perfectly, it's just going to fit your ears perfectly as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you have already been addicted to Diesel from Jayne Denham, you're going to be addicted to the Moonshine. So her newest hard rocking Powerhouse album is out now. You need to head over to JayneDenham.com for all of her music, her tour dates, and her merch. And by the way, when you get a bottle of her Franklin County Distillery Moonshine, you can go to her website, order that flask to go with it. So, hey, bottoms up. And so, Jayne, I want to thank you for getting up early from Australia to join me today, and much, much success to you, and can't wait till you land in America in August and rock this country from coast to coast.
Thank you so much for having me on the show. And yeah, if you try the Moonshine, the record even sounds better.
There's a little secret. So that's where the collaboration came from.
That's it. No, seriously, thank you so much for having me on the show. It's been great fun.
Well, you're very, very welcome. And ladies and gentlemen, again, head over to JayneDenham.com. It's at the bottom of your screen. Again, check out her music. Get the brand new album, Moonshine. What do I always say? Buy the album. Buy the concert ticket, buy the merch, support your favorite artist. But I can tell you right now, you are going to become a brand new dedicated fan of Jayne Denham. She's got exactly what it takes. As I said before, I would be afraid to be the follow-up act, because once she hits the stage, I would not want to follow her incredible talent. So she's got what it takes. So get ready. She's going to skyrocket to the charts with this brand new album, Moonshine. Again, go to JayneDenham.com. And thank you, everyone, for watching and listening today. And as for me, I'll see you next time.